systems of the trees. As you see right now, this neighborhood is definitely without electricity and probably other services because of a huge tree. Now let's go back to Chief Meteorologist Glenn Burns in Severe Weather Center 2 with more.
Yeah, as far as those trees go, you see down in Florida when we have hurricanes, we have palm trees with very loose leaves on palm fronds. Pine trees can sway in the wind. The pine can bend back and forth. You have a big oak, it's like a rock. It doesn't move, it breaks and just topples right over. So again, that's the problem we've been having. Also, we were talking about that tornado that moved out of Carnesville, remember, and to Stevens County and Toccoa. We now have a report, an actual sighting of that tornado. It did destroy some buildings, some barns in and around Stevens County near Toccoa. That report just coming into the Channel 2 Action News Center. And again, we do have damage reported now in and around Toccoa in Stevens County from one of those tornadoes. And that's where we saw the lightning that was going on, too, a little while ago. And again, we do have the Hurricane Ivan, which has now been downgraded to a tropical storm. It's still maintaining that strength, and I'll show you the bigger regional Doppler radar view of that. And some good news coming out of here. And there's the center right there, just to the east of Tuscaloosa, and it's approaching Birmingham. So that's where the center is. It's going to track right up like this. And this is the big rain band. This is the worst of the whole thing, and it looks like it's really beginning to organized and getting a little nastier looking there. You can see that very well organized band with the red showing up. But this back here, the one that was emanating out of east central Alabama heading for Troup County, that has dissipated, and the rain has really much stopped just south of the center of circulation. So some drier air feeding in here, and we hope that continues to be the trend across Atlanta and western Georgia later on tonight. So we'll keep an eye on that. We're going to send it back to Monica and Richard right now with the latest on Ivan and what he's done into northern Georgia.
We're going to Bill Taylor right now, who's in Spalding County and can tell us what's going on there. Bill.
Thank you very much, Monica. It's been a long, hard day here in Spalding County. We've had at least one downburst or one of these tornadoes that really hit the south end of the city here pretty hard. We've got trees down all over the south side of town. A tree fell across a patrol car a few minutes ago. We thought initially we had...
Homeland Security Director Bill Hitchens is the lead in this effort. What it also does is it enacts one of the Georgia laws that pertains to price gouging, so that individuals, in the case of Hurricane Francis, those Floridians who had to flee to Georgia, and in some cases some Georgians in southwest Georgia that needed to reach higher ground, so that they weren't affected, or hotels, restaurants, any kind of service those folks needed, they wouldn't be subject to any further damage. And that is under effect right now. We know that there are probably going to be a good number of Georgians seeking shelter and higher ground because of potential flooding from this storm.
All right, it's certainly something that the governor's office will be watching and making a determination if any further action is needed to cover the state.
Yes, I mean, obviously there is as I said, the operational center is up and running. That encompasses several state agencies, including the Georgia State Patrol, DOT, which obviously are very active and have been active, trying to get the roadways clear and make sure that they stay clear. We've got a very serious situation right now with the rush hour and so many cars on the road. Our resources are being used to the full potential. Another thing we're facing here, and I guess what we would ask citizens, is to really look out for one another. This is a very dangerous storm, and as I said, our resources are pretty tapped. We have federal assistance in here. We have members from FEMA on the ground helping with this effort. We have enormous support from the Red Cross, opening shelters throughout the state. We're working very cooperatively. However, as you might imagine, a lot of those federal resources are already tapped in Florida and in Alabama, and we're just going to need a lot of neighbor-to-neighbor assistance in dealing with this storm.
Yes, it certainly is a lot worse in Alabama, along the Florida Panhandle, and Louisiana for that matter. Loretta, thanks very much. We appreciate your perspective. Loretta Lepore, the press secretary for Governor Perdue.
Right now we want to go to Fox 5's Portia Bruner. She's in Midtown. She joins us on the phone. Portia, what's the situation there? Lots of old trees there in Midtown.
Yeah, Amanda, let me just describe the scene.
Metro Atlanta. So these trees hold a lot of danger right now, so be very careful. And one more thing I want to show you before we go. Take a look at the earth. Right now, it is so saturated, we're going to be dealing with some flooding problems. And Paul mentioned Alpharetta alone during Francis got about 6 inches. And when that starts to pool, it starts to clog, and the earth just can't handle any more rain. So we've got a lot of scenarios for problems out here that could be potentially deadly. Something to think about if you have to be out, but if you don't have to be, please don't leave. And right now I'm just seeing some power trucks hit the roads, and I'm seeing some emergency trucks going by as well. So a lot happening right here, and it could only get worse, as Paul mentioned. Right now, a lot going on out here. Wes, Brenda?
Thank you, Walton. As a matter of fact, those power trucks are desperately needed right now, and I think they're playing tag team with the media at the Georgia Power right now, because this is our third spokesperson. You got to go do the media. No, you do the media. As a matter of fact, we've had more and more people without power. Now we've got Tal Wright on there with Georgia Power. Tal, tell us what's your situation now.
Well, we're up to about, or in Atlanta, 130,000 of those are right here in Metro Atlanta.
And how many folks have you got out working on this, and how quickly do you think you can get it restored? How long did it take you last time? We had that kind of number last time for Francis. In fact, more than that, I believe.
Right. We had about 400,000 customers out due to Francis, and we had about 380,000 of those on within 2 days, within 48 hours. And that was working from about 5 in the morning until midnight or 1 a.m. So it could take at least a few days to get everyone back on. Obviously, we hope to do it sooner than that, but it could take days.
Are you finding mostly that it is the trees knocking down the lines and taking out various portions of the power?
Yes, it's trees and limbs. Old limbs fall out of trees, or in this case, they're blowing horizontally into lines and shorting out lines and causing these outages. In some cases, trees fall, they take down the line.
Fallen into the street, thank goodness. We sometimes see them fall into homes, as Tony was reading, fall onto cars as people are driving by. This one fell into the street, took a power line with it, but the power we can get back on. It's when someone gets hurt that when the storm gets really serious. Again, taking a look at the radar, Gene, the band continues to move through the city of Atlanta. In fact, when we look out of our windows here in Midtown, it looks as if it's like midnight outside. It's so dark. But this should move through fairly quickly, right?
Yeah,
hopefully.
It should move through. Unfortunately, it's not moving in like a straight line. You see, I've kind of drawn where it's moving. So instead of going like a typical thunderstorm pattern would be from maybe east to west or from northwest to southeast, it's not doing that. It's remember, it's a spiral band. So didn't draw that very well.
We can hear the rain in the studio. I think that's the rain,
like
rain or wind that we're hearing.
Yes.
And we're in the middle of the building, so
it's
got to be pretty intense too.
That's it. Do we have another picture we can go to from outside here in the Midtown? To see
There's the Grady
Curve.
See
if those trees. I know, but I'm just wondering if we have our. There we go. Okay, so that's what you're seeing. Now we can't see One Atlantic Center anymore. Remember, we could see it not less than 5 minutes ago. The rain is nearly coming down horizontally. We do have that flash flood warning for Clayton, Fayette, Fulton County, Douglas, Haralson, Spalding under flood warnings, as we're showing you at the bottom of your screen there. Trying to keep you updated with pretty much everywhere is being inundated by heavy rain, as we had expected from Ivan, doing a lot of flooding damage.
And see that poor little windsock outside hanging on for dear life. A good indication of some of the gusts we've been seeing. There it is again, and with the rain, the visibility is near zero. Because just a couple of minutes ago, we could see the outline of, is it One Atlantic? You can't see anything now. But as Gene said, he's having a harder time getting a direction of where it's going. It seems to be all over the place right now. Sometimes with the pop-up thunderstorms, at least, we know that the systems move from west to east typically. And you can anticipate that it's going to be gone. But this one seems to be encompassing much of the metro area. Gene showed us the map where we have different colors all over the place, everybody under watches and warnings, etc. But that's why we're with you. We want to let you know what's happening outside. And again, this is right outside of our station. This shot is a camera that's right in our back parking lot, and it's pointing towards Midtown. And typically, you can see the tops of all the tall buildings, and right now, you can see nothing, just gray skies. Some of the updates we've been getting: the airport closed right now. They closed it at 4 o'clock because the wind gusts were so severe that the planes, it was interesting, if you don't know anything about flying, when you hear that the plane actually tells the pilot, I can't land, it's too dangerous. I like that.
Yeah.
I like a plane that knows that it's too dangerous. So the pilots are heading a lot of, did he say Augusta? I think a lot of people having to land in Augusta, regroup.
And then make fixes that will get us the most power on as quickly as we can.
John, I know you folks at Georgia Power have your own weather experts. What's your estimate as to when this might pass through and you might be able to begin putting it all back together?
We're watching it, and we're anticipating having more outer bands through the evening as this thing continues to churn north. We're kind of watching what all the meteorologists are saying, so that we kind of keep an eye on it and compare everybody's notes. But it looks like it's going to be a long evening, and we could have more outages, especially in Metro Atlanta and Northwest Georgia.
All right, John Sell, long night ahead for you. Thank you very much for giving us that update. We'll check back with you. Right now, we want to go to Tad Hutchinson. He's with AirTran Airlines to give us the latest on the situation there.
So you folks in DeKalb County, North Fulton County, Gwinnett County, and also into Rockdale County, get ready, because I don't know how many people check the storm drains around their neighborhood. A lot of times in new construction, you'll get backups in the storm drains, and that's going to cause a major problem as these lines continue to move through. So that's the latest we have right now. You're seeing some footage, though. Let's get back now to Brenda and Wes.
Paul, we're going to continue our coverage right on through the 5 o'clock hour and right on into 6 o'clock, as a matter of fact. And I don't know if we still have Steve Flood up right now, but he is our chief photojournalist. He's on top of one of the buildings here right now, and he might have some perspective that we haven't seen from the ground. Steve, can you tell us what you're seeing from one of the tops of one of the buildings there?
As if I'm supposed to still be.
Ed, and I hope you're hearing me okay.
We hear you now, Steve. You have an appropriate name, too, because you're right in the middle of a flood.
I get that every time one of these comes through. Too
I know
often
you
now.
do. I know you do.
I can attest to the same thing Steve and was just talking about. We had pretty good visibility just 10 minutes ago, and now it's gone to really hard to see just across the street here. You can see that there's a lot of lots down here that are starting to show standing water. That's been going on for all afternoon, but now it's really starting to cool. This is a location that's right in the heart of Buckhead. You can see there's some parking structures down here where people have wisely chosen not to park. They've gone inside the structures if they can. And if we were to look over here, that would be Piedmont over there, right where it runs into Peachtree. And then we're going to go north toward the financial center here, and it really has become a situation where you can't see more than a block ahead of you. Interestingly enough, about a half hour ago, the visibility was better, but I was able to step down on the street with a wind gauge I have, and I recorded a 51-mile-an-hour gust of wind coming down between two of these high-rises. Now, I know that can be accentuated because of the high-rise locations, but it was very windy here, just about 420. And now the winds aren't so prevalent, but lots of rain.
We can see that's the rain on the top of the building you're showing us right now?
Yeah, so this is not the exact top. This is a balcony that we have access to, but you can see that it's a driving rain. I mean, I'll take it in for a little, I mean, rain is rain. It's hard to show, but it is just really, sometimes it comes, it's almost vertical, and then it moves back down. We're getting shifting winds up here. And it's becoming quite murky, and it has a lot more than just to do with sun setting here. This crane over here that you see, this has been whipping around all afternoon. It was pointed the other direction. I think you can see a flag on the end there. And boy, about when we got that 51-mile blast about 40 minutes ago, that thing was really rocking back and forth. There's some pine trees down here, I think, also that you can see, and these things are really bending over. And you can see they're spindly, they probably shouldn't be sitting where they are at that size, because that's exactly the kind of things that seem to snap in this kind of weather.
Right.
Yeah,
well, the soil is pine trees are scary, and they can snap or just fall over because the soil is so saturated from all the previous rain that
Brenda,
we've
could
had.
you repeat?
Well, I was saying the soil is so saturated that those things could not just snap but fall over because of all the previous rains we've had, in addition to what we're getting today. So it makes a very, very dangerous situation for any tree.
Shallow roots.
Of any sort. All right, Steve Flood.
I'm afraid I've lost you guys. If you can hear me, I'm afraid the line's gone dead.
Okay, that's all right. We're hearing you just fine, and you've given us a great description of what's going on from your vantage point. Rain is rain, I think, is the bottom line, and it is murky and messy out there, so be very careful. This is a special edition of 11 Alive News at 5, and we're giving you continuing coverage of Hurricane Ivan and its effects on the metro Atlanta area.
And although Ivan has been downgraded to a tropical storm, it is still a very dangerous storm.
Indeed it is. Tornado warnings are in effect all over the place in several Georgia counties, north to southeast to west. Paul Osman and the entire staff of our Weather Center have been following it all day long, and they join us now with the very latest on where Ivan is and how it's affecting us.
Okay, Brendan West, the one thing we're going to do is always have the latest warnings, especially tornado warnings, right there at the bottom of your screen to keep you updated on what's happening. That's the immediate concern that we have right now, the tornado activity. I think Steve Flood really summed it up, because what you're seeing right now is after that line moves through with about 60-mile-per-hour gusts at times, you're still getting the heavy rain. You're still getting rain that's probably adding up to 3 to 5 inches very quickly. And we were showing you perspectives, even from our roof cam, of how this rain is beginning to add up, especially near storm drains, because storm drains are built for pretty much consistent rainfall, not the kind of deluge we're getting here in the downtown area. As a result, if any of them are impeded in any way, then you're going to get that backup. And you get that backup, and that's when you get the stories and you see the flooding that's occurred that we saw on I-75 not too long ago, and also in the downtown area about a few years ago. There's always that concern. As you can see from the center of circulation to the right part of your screen, that's Ivan, now downgraded to a tropical storm, packing winds of 60 miles per hour. We've had gusts of that near the airport, and these bands continue to move in. Look at that interesting perspective there. As you'd say the bands move in, it was a narrow line, but as it got to the city of Atlanta, it kind of expanded. And as a result, we're seeing the flooding and also the potential for more on the way. This is going to be a few hours.
But as we go on later, when the heavier rain bands come in, we could see some minor flooding there as the creeks may overflow. Ground was pretty saturated from Hurricane Francis, and again, more heavy rains rolling in that general direction. We have no tornado warnings now, but we do have flash flood warnings in effect. I'm going to throw it back to David Chandley now, and he can tell you a little bit more about where we have those flash flood warnings, or we're going to throw it back to Monica first.
Glenn, a quick question.
Yes.
You talk about the velocity mode and the reflectivity mode. What does that mean for our viewers?
Okay, very good point. When we're on the reflectivity mode like we're on now, you're seeing the rain. You're seeing what's actually happening out there as far as rain goes. So that's reflectivity. When we kick it over to something called velocity mode, we're looking at the particles that are being blown around by the wind. Now, this is the velocity mode. And you can see red, that's the wind that's heading away from the radar. The green is the wind that's heading toward the radar. And the white is where we see the the wind that's actually parallel to the radar beam. So you can't see too much there, but you can see the green that's approaching the city. That's the wind that's approaching the city, and the red is the wind that's blowing away from the city. It's the Doppler effect. It's like if you were sitting at a railroad crossing and hearing a train coming toward you, you could hear the pitch, the sound get actually higher as it gets toward you, and then you could hear that pitch change once the train passes by you. That's called the Doppler shift. That's just kind of a little demonstration as to the Doppler shift. So we can see the wind with the particles in the wind being blown around. And also noticed up here just a couple of seconds ago, maybe some lightning occurring in northwestern Cherokee County, possibly a thunderstorm developing there. But again, the southwestern Cherokee, as we go back to the rain mode, our reflectivity mode, we're still seeing that very heavy rain travel all the way down through the city. And this is the strongest band in Tropical Storm Ivan right now. This is the strongest band, and again, moving to the north. But things have slowed down quite a bit. This is what we did not want to see happen. Again, if you've been with us all afternoon, we've been covering this. The winds have been around, the rain and everything has been moving around 60 miles an hour to the north. Now things are beginning to slow down a bit as Ivan continues to weaken. We did not want to see things slow down a bit because the longer the rain stays in one spot, the more flooding potential that we have for those particular areas. And again, the worst from Bartow all the way down into Cobb, and now into western DeKalb County, too. We're seeing some very heavy rainfall there, and into the northern part of Henry County. David, let's zoom on down to 75 there in the northern part of Henry County, because we are seeing a little bit of a red dot showing up right here near Stockbridge. And if you've been with us all afternoon, you noticed that when we see these red dots, soon thereafter, the National Weather Service will issue some type of a tornado warning. And we're seeing that right now just north of Stockbridge. And it's just
we're seeing an end to the really heavy rain, and yet we could see perhaps this band that's over here start to move its way. And again, all these bands are kind of moving in this direction. So you get a band, it moves through like that, and that's the reason why we're getting the heavy rain from Ivan.
Okay. Gene, if anyone wants to bear personal witness to what the remnants of hurricane force winds can do. All we need to do at this time is send you out to Tyler Beckham, who is in Lenox Park, look at this, a neighborhood in the Brookhaven, Atlanta section out there in the Buckhead, Brookhaven area. And Tyler, you've moved away from the, take it away.
I mean, Tony, I'm glad you guys are nice and dry in there. I am soaked to the core out here. We had a nice up close and personal look at that tree for you earlier, but when Bell South crews came to restore phones to people in the area, we wanted to get out of their way. So you're going to see some close pictures of that in a minute. But the problem now, I mean, I'm soaked. Look at this water that's just rushing down the street. Water has been a major problem out here. Wind has been a major inconvenience for utility crews.
This is the latest storm track.
At the Atlanta Fulton County Emergency Management Agency, workers keep a close eye on Hurricane Ivan, anticipating his next move. And soon, reacting to the aftermath, like this huge tree brought down by more than 30-mile-an-hour winds in this Lenox Park neighborhood.
Well, it really opened up the sky. We've always enjoyed the shade from that tree. Really hate to see it go.
With heavy winds and rain all over Atlanta, it's the sort of thing Georgia Power crews are getting used to today.
This is what you're going to expect the whole time that we're here. The next couple of days, it's going to be the same situation. Trees coming down, just having to be in the rain. People are probably going to be out for a little while.
So are Atlanta residents, dealing with yet another round of nasty weather, wondering if they'll have to put their backup plans in place tonight.
Yes, I do have a generator and I bought some candles, so just in case if it does happen, I'll be prepared.
Especially in my neighborhood, trees falling and lines being broken down. I'm just wondering if it's going to cause a lot more that's actually going to happen, this weekend.
Especially as wet, as saturated as the ground is, it's very dangerous.
It's the news last night, and they said, 15, 25.
But north of, say, the Clayton or Rabun County area, and there's a potential for more flooding rains in the west North Carolina mountains and also in Tennessee and North Georgia, maybe up to 10 to 15 inches of rain. As we take a look at the heavy rain that continues to move through the metro area. So once again, we have the school closings down there. We have any warnings, any tornado warnings or any warnings will be at the bottom of the screen, and we will keep you updated on what's happening across the metro area weather-wise that affects your life. So keep it right here on 11 Live. Back to Brendan West.
All right, thank you, Paul. Among the schools closed, Decatur schools and DeKalb County schools closed. On the telephone line with us right now is Captain Eric Jackson, the Public Information Officer with DeKalb County. Good evening, Captain Jackson. Thanks very much for joining us. What's going on in DeKalb right now?
Absolute busyness. I'm here in our communications center here at DeKalb Fire and Police Headquarters, and right now all of our operators are working tooth and nail, answering calls, taking in calls from the public, while at the same time our dispatchers are dispatching those calls out to our firefighters and our police officers, because right now we are experiencing a massive number of wires down calls, trees down calls.
One death in Franklin County, so we're anticipating a lot more heavy rain, some potential flooding, high winds, and we would encourage people to stay home and not go out and travel if they don't have to do so.
Mr. Weiss, when you hear about an EMS unit being knocked down, what does it mean for you all? Do you all have enough people to send there for help, since you're already stretched into Florida and into Alabama?
Well, virtually all of the state, the public safety agencies across the state have mutual aid agreements. So if there's a need in one particular area, they will be able to get help from surrounding communities, as well as whatever state assets they might need from.
Drains, we asked the public to let us know of those that they knew of, so we've worked really hard to accomplish that. We still, again, have public works crews out, and as necessary, they will go to those hotspot areas and work to relieve the drains as quickly as possible.
All right, Sandra Walker with the mayor's office, thank you very much. Right now we want to go to Pete Nelms. He's with the Fayette County EMA. Pete, what can you tell us about the latest there?
Well, Amanda, thanks.
Hands are on deck there at your 911 center. Everybody is working feverishly. Any power outages? You're getting calls about that as well?
We are not experiencing that right now. However, again, this is just the weather conditions, the inclement conditions, the wires down, the trees down calls, just the typical calls that we anticipated on seeing with this sort of precipitation that's entering the Atlanta area. So, again, as you mentioned before, all hands are on deck, and everybody from the dispatcher to the firefighter is working extremely hard.
All right. Well, stay safe and continue to stay in touch with us. We appreciate you talking to us during our 5 o'clock news. Thank you, Captain Jackson.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And Brenda, the last power outage figure we got was 155,000 people without power. Georgia Power shifted into high gear. They're trying to take care of all of those power outages as fast as they can. And as a matter of fact, they have rendezvoused in Stockbridge, which is where we have Dennis O'Hare. We lost him just right then because we're getting power surges everywhere. He's back up. Okay, Dennis, tell us what's happening where you are right now.
Wes, the wind is just fierce here right now. The wind right now is blowing directly behind me toward the camera as you're looking at it, but just about 15 seconds ago, we had wind sweeping across from your left as you look at it to the right side of the camera. It is swirling, it is fierce, and you may not even be able to see the Georgia Power trucks behind me. But in this empty Kmart parking lot, they are staging here, as you mentioned, over 150,000 people without power in Georgia right now, 130,000 of those in the metro Atlanta area, and every minute those numbers are expected to rise. Now, the reinforcements arrived just about 2 hours ago. These trucks that you're looking at came in from the eastern region, which has not been hit anywhere near as hard. Reinforcements from Augusta waiting here now to see where they will go. They will take their directions from the folks in downtown Atlanta at Georgia Power's Storm Center. Their big concern right now, the high winds particularly. We are on the wrong side of this storm, and they know it. They are watching particularly for tornadoes, and we have heard, of course, throughout the afternoon the tornado warnings. Their big concern also is the wet ground. That is bringing trees down onto power lines. The big message they want to get out to everybody at this point is that while these reinforcements are going to be heading eventually to Florida and Alabama, they will take care of Georgia first. All of Georgia's 1,300 line people will be working on Georgia, and they were hoping initially to get everyone who was knocked out here back online within a day or so. But as we're watching these numbers keep going up, and with the number of individual outages, that looks like a real challenge right now. For now, we're live in Stockbridge at the Georgia Power staging area. Dennis O'Hare, 11 Alive News.
All right, a lot going on, and a lot going on right here in Midtown, just outside our studios, where Walt Macaborski has been standing by, just watching that commuter traffic on the downtown connector pretty much turn into a parking lot with the sheets of rain blowing sideways here just a few minutes ago. Has it let up a little bit, Walt?
Yeah, it has, and that's the thing you need to be worried about. As meteorologist Chris Holcomb mentioned, we're going to get fits and starts, so don't be lulled into a false sense of security like, oh, hey, we're getting a break in the rain, I'll venture out now, because the rain starts in a moment's notice, and you see people caught in sheets of rain at a standstill. You're looking at the Buford connector here going northbound and 85 southbound, and it has been jammed all afternoon long. And as you mentioned earlier, we had a complete whiteout here just a few minutes ago, and you can see a whole bank of trees right beyond I-85 southbound, and beyond that is Buckhead. You cannot see any buildings, anything beyond that bank of trees, just a wall of white and rain. And take a look at the trees over here to the right of us here at the studios. Just a few moments ago, those were blown around pretty good. The wind has been picking up and then dying down, picking up and dying down, almost like a child throwing toys in a child's temper tantrum, and then all of a sudden stopping. And we've heard a few pops of trees just popping in that big grove of trees right there. So just because it's quiet now doesn't mean it's not going to pick up in a moment's notice as Ivan's bands just start whipping through here all the time. And another problem, our drain has calmed down a little bit. We want to show you that. The big problem now is the drain is getting clogged up here at the end of this street, and as soon as the big rain starts rushing in, that is clogging up and flooding our parking lot. So that is also happening on the road. So be careful out there, because a lot of debris is clogging the storm drains, and that's going to put standing water on the freeways and cause problems for your commute. So be very careful out there, especially with the gusty winds that could toss your car around, or some of the higher profile vehicles. But yes, Brenda and Wes, it is nasty out here at times, and it calms down and picks right back up again.
Thank you, Walt. Vernon Jones, the CEO of DeKalb County, is on the line with us right now. And Vernon, I know how bad it was when Francis came through. My children live in DeKalb County and didn't have any power for about 3 days. My son lost everything in the refrigerator. A story not unlike a lot of people's stories in your county. What's your situation right now?
Well, right now, the bulk of our problem, we have a backlog of down trees. About 11 trees are down and backlog. We have 8 crews, about 10 people per crew, so that is about 80 people out working. expeditiously to try to address our backlog. Flooding right now, we don't have any backlog of flooding. Again, our problems are primarily due to down trees. We have, this crew is going to work up until midnight tonight. We'll have another crew that will come in and work through the rest of the night. Our emergency operations center is open. It's coordinating various emergency situations. And so we have our folks out there, about 80 people. Again, we have 11 down trees. That's where our backlog is right now. We're concentrating, trying to get those removed out of the highways and byways so we can get traffic moving through those areas and again, to preserve safety.
Now, that's county folks you've got out taking care of those down trees, not just Georgia Power, right?
No, these are our county folks. These are our road and drainage crew.
All right.
As you know, we got an early start this morning. We were busy trying to make sure our drainage areas were clean and allow the water to flow. So we did a good job there. We don't have a problem with flooding. Again, right now it's because of the high winds and the trees have been down.
All right, Vernon Jones, DeKalb CEO, thank you for calling in and checking in with us.
Thank you so much.
Well, as Metro Atlanta began to feel the first effects of Ivan, a lot of school districts made the very tough decision to cancel classes today. Some schools were closed all day. Others sent their students home early today in anticipation of the heavy rainfall this afternoon and evening. Our Jennifer Leslie is in the newsroom now with the very latest on what to expect tomorrow where that's concerned. Jennifer?
Well, Brenda, there are several school districts that have already made the decision to close tomorrow because of Ivan. They include Fulton County, Clayton County, Griffin-Spalding County, and DeKalb County. In DeKalb County, we found that a Friday night tradition will also be affected.
You got to play the Magnet Avondale at 5.
The DeKalb County Schools athletic staff huddled together to come up with a new game plan. Since schools will be closed tomorrow, system rules require that all other activities, including Friday night football games, have to be called off as well.
When's the last time you've had to do this? Is this pretty rare?
This is my first time ever doing it. I hope I never have to do it again. But it's a rare occasion that we have to cancel so many games.
DeKalb school officials made the decision to keep their buses parked even before the weather turned ugly here.
That's getting too close for comfort. Plus,
after watching weather forecasts and consulting with DeKalb's emergency management director, they realized the worst of Ivan might strike early this afternoon. So they canceled classes today and tomorrow.
One of the school system's worst nightmares is trying to evacuate our schools in the middle of the day and in the middle of the day during bad weather. And we tried to avoid that by making the decision to close today.
School officials say they wanted to avoid a repeat of what happened when another severe storm, Frances, moved through last week. Many parents were caught off guard when the schools closed only after buses started rolling.
And hopefully we always learn from our experiences.
This time they've planned ahead. And as for those football games, all have been rescheduled for Saturday or Monday. The school superintendent had to give the okay to reschedule games on Saturday, and the Georgia High School Association had to sign off on Monday's games. For a detailed schedule, you can log on to 11alive.com. We've also learned that Clayton County will play 2 of its Friday night games on Monday. Those details are also on the web. Live in the newsroom, Jennifer Leslie, 11 Alive News.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
We did have a confirmed touchdown of a tornado in Madison County. Blair Meeks started for that county immediately. We had some, with the emergency management director out there, said it was a confirmed touchdown of a tornado. So Blair is on the scene right now. Blair, what are you seeing?
Well, it's obvious signs of a tornado, Wes. We are here in Madison County, which is about 20 miles or so north and a little bit east of Athens, Georgia. So that gives you an idea of where
could have a great deal of runoff. You know what happens up in the mountains? All that rainfall in the mountains got to accumulate somewhere. So it's going to go right down the side of the mountains and accumulate on roadways. And eventually, this will rotate up toward Highlands, North Carolina, Lake Toxaway, and Asheville, which were inundated with unbelievable amounts of rain from Hurricane Frances, where we saw well over a foot in many spots. That caused a great many landslides off the mountains up in North Carolina and up in northeastern Georgia. We had many roads blocked for many days with debris just coming down the side of the mountains because of the heavy rain. And we're going to deal with that again with this heavy rain band rolling up. And the problem is here, the Hurricane Center is indicating this is going to slow down as it moves up into Tennessee over the next several days. So our areas north of Atlanta, up in the North Georgia mountains, and our friends up in North Carolina and South Carolina are going to see some very heavy rainfall in those mountain communities. So again, if you have any travel plans in that direction toward the weekend, really stay tuned. We could have a great deal of road
There's another 3 or 4 inches of rain. I don't think there's going to be that much more in the western part of the state as these bands continue to move through from east to...
Some of the hills where this seems to have scraped by, probably like in a maybe...
to help avoid any accidents in that way.
Hey, Sandra, how do you coordinate information in the mayor's office when something as big as this is taking place in the city? Is there this kind of mythical war room that is created where you can funnel in all the information and have people respond accordingly?
We work with the cabinet and through a sub-cabinet that handles operations. And, yes, we do have a cabinet room where we meet and discuss. And we also have a team working out of the Atlanta-Fulton County Emergency Management Center. So all of the operational departments have reps there to be able to be back in touch with us here at City Hall and to keep us moving as quickly and efficiently as possible.
And give us a sense, if you would, of how Mayor Franklin handles a situation like this. How does she manage this kind of event?
The mayor, of course, relies on her team to bring her the information. We discuss it with her. She makes the final calls on what we need to do. She's very much involved in the process.
Okay.
Sandra Walker with
Sandra, thank you.
Yeah, Atlanta Mayor's Office.
Thank you.
And the shot that we've been looking at from Chamblee, the live picture, doesn't seem to be getting any better. And this band continues its march across Atlanta and the metro area. Gene, just a few minutes ago, showed us how many counties were under some sort of watch or warning, and it was virtually all of the counties making up the Atlanta metro area. And again, a lot of folks trying just to get home at this hour. It's unfortunate that this is hit during rush hour because you have so many people out on the roads. You probably have a lot of this happening. Looks like a bit of a fender bender.
I have to tell you,
from
Stephanie,
this camera here.
As I watch these pictures of all of this rainwater coming down in this area, flooding has to be a growing concern in this area.
Watch these bands here. This is the heaviest one now that's moving through Atlanta right now, and that's a very heavy rainfall. And these bands are the ones, whenever you have a landfalling tropical system on the eastern side of the center, which is where we are right now, we get these squall lines or bands of storms that produce not only the heavy rain.
They're operating on generators with minimum power, trying to conserve. They've locked their doors at this particular point. But they're having to deal with this too, along with the residents in Carroll County. Russ?
All right, Tracy Flanagan live in Carroll County. Thanks very much. We'll check back with you soon.
Tracy's talking about the power outages there. Villa Rica, also a place where they have opened up a shelter. It's at the Gold Dust Recreation Center in Villa Rica. So if you need to go somewhere for safe shelter, you can go there to the Gold Dust Recreation Center in Villa Rica. Well, the Florida Panhandle, as we've mentioned, took a devastating hit from Ivan. 7 people are dead, and homes and highways are all torn up.
Now, the winds ripped buildings apart on the barrier islands. Waves were strong enough to tear gaping holes in a bridge spanning Escambia Bay. Let's go live now to Caroline Shively, who's covering Ivan's impact on Pensacola, Florida. Caroline?
Hi there. Yes, we're standing right in front of that bridge. This is what emergency officials are really worried about this scene. Much of the bridge has been washed away. Right in the middle of that bridge this morning, they found the back of a semi-trailer. What was missing was the cab. They feel the cab was probably washed away into the bay. They're now looking for the driver. Hurricane Ivan may be past us, but now we are facing massive destruction and widespread flooding.
And after a while, the house shake. So we sat there a while, and then when you know anything, the wind hit so hard, blam!
82-year-old Lily Mae Bogan has lived in her Pensacola home since 1962. Last night, she and her grandson got out just before it collapsed and rode out this storm in her station wagon.
He said, Mama, we better get out of here. I said, you're right.
She is one of thousands of people who decided to ride this storm out instead of going to shelters.
Why I didn't go to shelter? You know what? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you why I didn't go. I mean, I never took that chance again.
Sheets of this gas station's metal awning were ripped off in Pensacola.
I said, well, let's go by and check the store since everything's destroyed out here. As soon as we turned the corner, I'm like, oh, my God. It's bad.
At the Pensacola airport, small planes flipped completely over when the hangar sheltering them flew off, landing 200 yards away on top of this ball field. Flooding was one of the worst problems throughout the Gulf. A deer was caught in this water in Gulf Shores, Alabama. People in Mississippi, Florida, and Louisiana also suffered intensive flooding, and hundreds of thousands of people are without power, making the cleanup even harder. Emergency officials here in Escambia County are saying stay off the roads if you can, but we were out today along with plenty of other folks. The roads here are really busy. As we drive around, we are seeing terrible destruction. Reporting live in Pensacola, Florida, I'm Caroline Shively. Russ and Amanda, back to you.
Caroline, for the moment, the weather looks very nice right where you are.
It's going back and forth. It was a beautiful sunny day. Now the clouds are in, and every once in a while you'll get a gust that you have to really bear down so you don't lose your footing.
All right, Caroline Shively, live in Pensacola, Florida. Thank you very much.
We mentioned earlier that Villa Rica has opened up a shelter in case someone needs to go there. We have on the phone with us now Tiffany Fell, who is actually running that shelter at the Gold Dust Recreation Center. Tiffany, has anyone come up?
Yes, we have approximately...
Bit before you came to me, and I took it that was the stop of one band and the beginning of another, but I clearly think we're in perhaps maybe the second band of this storm. We are live in Midtown. Joyce Oscar, Channel 2 Action News.
Joyce, you said you came in on Georgia 400. Traffic was kind of bumper.
It's the primary reason, Tiffany, why people...
I'm on Montrose Drive in East Point right now, and there's a big old oak tree. It had to be at least 50 feet tall in a front yard that fell down across power lines and took down a power pole, knocked this neighborhood out of power. Very fortunate for the homeowners, though, that it fell away from their house. The homeowner told me that he recently had two other big old oak trees taken down out of here after the last storm, and he wanted to take...
Graham.
3 feet tall at that point, you know. Beach, it's a close call for you being right there.
Yeah, I was right there. I mean, my dog and I would have been, just down the street a couple of more feet. We would have been under the tree as well.
I'm so glad you weren't. Thanks for talking to us.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah, you can see it's just a mess out here. Piedmont is just shut down here, going all the way up, I would say, to about 10th Street at least. So we're at 7th, right, is where it stops. So they are farther down there chopping up the tree. They haven't even gotten to this one yet. So I'm guessing it's going to be a while before we see those trees off the cars. And in the meantime, you can see it's still pouring here. So traffic is slow for that reason as well, Gene.
Right, well, Helen, that's certainly are some amazing pictures and amazing eyewitness account. Now, do you have any other reports of any flooding going on out there?
If Ronnie, the photographer, can turn around to his left, I'll show you what the conditions are like here. People are walking around, and look at how much water is just flooding down Piedmont here. It's mostly on the sides, and it's covering the sidewalks as well, but so much rain in such a short time really is beginning to show here on Piedmont and Midtown. Ronnie is giving you a little bit closer look. You can see some areas it gets pretty high, and it's actually moving quickly.
Ivan is located, and you can see the main band of the worst weather is right across Atlanta now, moving up toward the north. I want you to see the new track just issued from the National Hurricane Center on where Ivan is going to go. Let's go to our computer. I think this thing is possessed. Look at this thing. What a track we have here. All right, it's going to move out of Birmingham, then at 2 p.m. Saturday goes up into Tennessee, then rides up around, looks like Appalachian State up in North Carolina, and kind of curves back down, and it comes back down into South Carolina. I have never, in all my years of forecasting, ever seen a storm do anything like this. If this track holds, it's going to make a loop, and it's going to come right on down here. So I don't know what's going to cause that, but we're going to have to investigate that further. But this is the new track from the National Hurricane Center. Fortunately, it remains an area of low pressure or a tropical depression, and again, very slow moving. So it's going to curl around here. The mountains of North Carolina are absolutely going to be inundated with unbelievable amounts of rain. We're going to see